Today I'm so excited to show you how to transform into my favorite character, Vignette, from the show Carnival Row. You can watch it on Amazon Prime Video. She's such a cool character, and it's a magical show full of mystical creatures and mystery. Every episode had me wanting more. Be sure to watch the other awesome videos and check out the other experiences at Amazon Virtual Con. Now let's start the transformation. First, I'm applying foundation to make a blank canvas to work with. Now I'm going to create the illusion of shadows with contour to change the shape of my cheekbones, under my eyes, around my nostrils, the sides of my mouth, along my jawline to make it look shorter, and in the sockets of my eyes to make them look more deep set, under my brow bone, around my nose, and under the tip of it to make it look shorter, and I blend it in. I also add shadows around my cupid's bow, and I darken around my eyes a bit more. I know it doesn't look like much yet, we still have a lot of work to do. Now I'm going to highlight my face, starting with my nose and my brow bone, the top of my cheekbones, the center of my face to make it look fuller, my chin, the sides of my lower lip, my jawline, above my lip, and I'm dusting a more shiny highlight over my cheeks, chin, and upper lip. Now I'm moving on to the lips. I start by tracing the shape I want with a liner pencil. Once I'm happy with the shape, I fill it in with a deep red lip gloss. I darken and define the upper lip a bit more with a liner pencil. Next is the eyebrows. Her eyebrows are super full and dark, so I'm using a dark brown eyebrow gel and filling them in. They are much closer together than my natural brows and much thicker as well. After I'm done filling both of them in, I brush down the hairs. For my eyes, I'm adding a darker eyeshadow to make them look even more deep set, and I drag the shadow upward to give them a lift. I also darken under my eyes as well. Then I add a subtle line of eyeliner. I also line my lower lash line. Next, I change my eye color with bright contact lenses. As you can see, they make a big difference. Now I'm going to apply a generous amount of mascara to my top lashes, and a little less to my lower lashes. Time to put my hair up in a wig cap. Since I have a lot of hair, I put on 2 wig caps to compress it, especially for putting it under such a short wig. And that's pretty much it for the makeup. Next, I'm going to show you how I made the wings. They are such a beautiful feature of the fays in the show, so I had a lot of fun trying to figure out a way to recreate them. First, I started by tracing out the shape and size I wanted the wings to be. This was one of the longer parts of making the wings just because it took so long to figure out the scaling and all the right details. Here you can see the patterns I made for both the top and bottom wing. I scanned the pieces of paper to my computer and then flipped the image, and printed out a second set of wings for the other side. Once I was happy with how it looked, I got some thick copper wire and outlined the shape of the wing with it. Here you can see the wire structure for both sides. And for the bottom wings as well. You don't have to use wire though, feel free to be creative and use whatever material you want. Now I'm hot gluing the wire frames to a sheer white fabric. You can also use cellophane or any clear material. I cut away the excess fabric. And I wrap and glue down the edges. This is the part where the wings really start coming to life. I lay the wing onto my pattern. Then I use a black puffy t-shirt paint and start tracing all the details. This part was time consuming but also really relaxing, and a great excuse to re-binge watch the series again. Make sure you allow enough time for the paint to completely dry. Here you can see what a dramatic difference it makes. So you can stop adding to the wings here, or you can do an extra step to really make them pop. I personally love the results I was able to figure out and achieve, so I'd like to share this with you. First, I lay down a strip of paper towels and then place the wing on top of it. Then I use fabric markers and mix and match a bunch of different shades and colors throughout the wings. As I'm applying the colors, I'm also using a paper towel to blend them together. You can dampen the paper towel with water to make the colors more subtle if you want. I personally prefer the vivid colors. This is what it looks like with all the color added. Now I'm going to attach the wings together. I start by hot gluing them together at the base. Then I use wire to hold them together. I do the same with the bottom wings. Next, I take the excess copper wire and wrap it around a popsicle stick to add more stability. These extensions at the base of the wings are what will be used to make the wings wearable and balance out the weight. The heavier the wings, the longer you want to make the back support. I use hot glue to fill in the gaps between the wire and popsicle sticks. Then I pad it with felt. I just cut out pieces of felt and hot glue them around the wire. Then I use some trim and wrap and glue it around the felt to secure everything. All I use is a sports bra to make the wings wearable, but you can use a bodice or a harness depending on what you prefer to wear. You just need something that is strong and fits snug to place the wings in. Next, I'm going to show you how I made her coat. I start by cutting out a basic coat pattern in a similar shape to the one she wears in the show. Then I sew the pieces together and try it on. The bottom of her coat goes higher in the front and lower in the back, so I trace a line with chalk and cut off the bottom. Then I trace how far down I want to apply the fur. I take a strip of off-white fur and size it to the collar, and I pin it in place. I continue adding the fur wherever it needs to be, and I pin and sew it in place. This is what it looks like all attached. After that, I start adding the trim. I do this with hot glue, but you can sew it on if you prefer, or use fabric glue. I keep adding the trim until it looks like the coat she wears in the show. Here's what it looks like with all the trim applied. I also start tracing shapes with chalk where the details are going to go. Before adding the extra details, I weather the coat to make it look more dirty and worn. I do this by watering down black and brown acrylic craft paint and brushing it on the coat. Don't worry if it looks messy, that's kind of the point. I do the same thing with the fur, but I really rub it in because the deeper texture. Here you can see the difference between the fur before and after painting it. I just keep repeating these steps until I finish the whole coat. Before I put away my paint, I also paint over the trim to make sure it all matches and is in the right shade. Next, I'm going to show you how I make the details so we can attach them. First, I trace out a bunch of circles onto fabric. Then I use hot glue and twine string and wrap the string around in a spiral. I think I made 30 circles total. Just keep repeating this until you have as many as you need. Then you just put them in place and hot glue them down. Again, I am using hot glue, but you can use fabric glue instead. I also trace out a bunch of star shapes onto dark vinyl, and I trace tiny leaf shapes as well. Then I cut them all out. Next, I place them in the desired area and glue them down, but you can sew them as well. I get out some small dark beads and use super glue to apply them to the center of the circles. I also use the same beads and a needle and thread to hand stitch them along the fur and trim. This is another very tedious and time-consuming process, but it's a good time to go binge watch some more awesome shows on Amazon Prime Video. Although a very subtle detail, it really finishes the look. And last but not least, I cut a hole in the back of the jacket so I can slide the wings through it. I also added a little flap of fabric that tucks in so my skin doesn't show underneath. And it works perfectly for wearing the wings. And that's pretty much it for the costume. I hope you found this tutorial helpful. Which Carnival Row character would you want to dress up as? There are so many different interesting characters in the show. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!